Hi Aquarius, welcome to your weekly reading. I'm Jude and this is a reading Aquarius for the week of the 22nd of May. And to start with Aquarius, we'll look at what's been going on for you, what's been happening. Then we'll look at the week of the 22nd of May, what the challenges might be, and what might be coming in to help you. So Aquarius. We've got the Seven of Swords, the Five of Pentacles, and the Two of Cups. So, Aquarius, it feels a little bit like you've been going through a little bit of a tricky time. I feel for some of you, maybe you've left a workplace and it's been a little bit challenging. But then there's like you've come in and been offered something and there's an agreement reached here. For others, it's got this energy of something not so nice happening with someone, like in a workplace, it feels to me. But then there's like harmony reached again. So, this character here does have this sense of a little bit of shadiness, sneakiness, something not so good, which makes you feel a little bit like you're on the outer. Things might have been said and you're feeling a bit out on the outside of something, a little bit, but then it's like it comes back into balance. Peace is made. I feel if there was something going on where someone maybe said something or you were kind of out in the cold, it feels like this has come back into balance and harmony. Thankfully, Aquarius, for you. Okay, so what does the week of the 22nd of May look like for you? We've got the High Priestess. And thank you for all the likes and shares and subscribes. I'm really grateful. And it does make a difference, so I really appreciate that. And I hope you're enjoying the readings and that they are helpful or insightful for you. Okay, so we've got the High Priestess, the King of Swords, the Devil, the Hierophant, and the Two of Pentacles. Yeah, okay. So, Aquarius, it's like whatever this sort of unpleasantness was, and because they're general, it may not resonate or it's going to be different for everyone, but that just feels like an unpleasantness. It feels like an argument, or like you were left out in the cold, or someone did something and it put you out on the outer. But of course, then we saw the Two of Cups, so we're like, okay, that's kind of re-healed, regrouped. But now you're listening to your intuition, and there's a sense for you, Aquarius, here. The King of Swords could be you. Swords represent the air signs in the tarot, so Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. But there's a lot of very clear strategic thinking now. And even though you kind of got back to the Two of Cups, I feel like you're looking at this pattern now. You're looking at maybe where there was some manipulation, or what your beliefs and values are that allowed you to sit in this energy. Because when we get the Devil card, he says, Aquarius, you need to look at what these chains are that are holding you in this energy, because often it's unconscious. We're not aware of it, or we would move on. But because we're sort of willingly standing there and this is happening in our world, the gift of the Devil card energy is that he shines a light for you and he says, Aquarius, have a look at what these beliefs or values are that are letting you sit in this energy where I can manipulate and play games, which is that sort of other cards. And the Hierophant says, what are your beliefs and values? And this is a very, how we go out in the world, how we operate, what are our non-negotiable terms for ourselves, what have we learnt that are deal breakers for us. And because it's about finding a balance here of two things that are of equal importance. But it feels like you kind of out of this situation that has been resolved, I feel, Aquarius. Now you're kind of going, okay, well, I don't want to ever step into that again. So what value system am I running that not allowed it, but kind of got caught in that? It's sort of like, when there's something you're running here, the devil card, if it's about ourselves and it's a behavior, it can be things like addictions and alcohol or drugs or cigarettes or chocolate or sugar, or even sometimes things that we think are of a high value. We might think work or exercise are good things. But if it's too much, if it's like if you go to the gym 4 times a week, that might be great. But if you go 4 times a day, that might be too much. And it's that sort of energy of work's good, and if you work, 50 hours a week, great. But if you work 80 hours a week, well, is it too much? It's that balance and finding the balance. So it's giving you a very strategic look, I feel, Aquarius, at what your value system is for you, and what patterns have you been running, what do you want to shift or change, or how is that going for you, how is that working for you? Because I feel like out of that experience you had, which thankfully kind of got resolved, it's now you're looking and going, I don't want that again. So what can I internally shift or acknowledge or see? Yeah. And the challenge is to find the light. The challenge is to listen to your intuition, your higher self, and find the way. Because otherwise you wouldn't have stepped or had that around. Not saying anyone's to blame here. It's about just seeing it. So how can you find your way out of the darkness into the light, kind of, is the challenge. So let's have a look. What will help Aquarius? Yeah. Okay, so we've got the 6 of Pentacles, the 10 of Swords, the World, the Emperor, and the Ace of Wands. I think that might have come that way. Okay, so Aquarius, what will help you find your light is understanding the balance of giving and receiving, which I feel you do, but I'm also hearing for some of you, and of course it's general, but there's a feeling of you give a lot, and it's about always making sure that that's in balance, that there has to be reciprocity, which this 2 of Cups talks about as well. That, if this is 2 people making a trade, it's got to be equal and fair. So when we're in this dynamic of the Devil card, if that's a relationship, that can sometimes speak of narcissistic, codependent type of energies, where one person feels like they're constantly giving and not receiving, and then you can start to feel a little bit depleted, which would explain the 10 of Swords. So what will help you is to recognize this pattern and have it in balance, not in a ledger keeping way, but in a, if you're always the person making a cup of tea for the other person, and maybe every now and then it's nice if the other person does it for you, there's kind of little things. Do you know what I mean? It's not about dollar value necessarily. It's energy and time and those sorts of things too, and how that exists in a dynamic of equity. Because this is about you ending off an old cycle. I feel like once you see this pattern and you bring in the light and you trust and listen to your intuition, which I'm sure you do, Aquarius, it's like you go, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm closing off that old chapter, that old pattern, and I'm very inspired about having a new way of being. And no one messes with the Emperor. You know, the Emperor is very strong. He's the amalgamation of all the kings. So there's a sense here of strength, emotional intelligence, wisdom, clear thinking, clear communication. He likes to move forward in a very sure and certain way. So I feel that's what comes through this. It's like out of that experience that you had, I feel what I'm hearing is it's been a bit of an eye-opener, Aquarius, and you're like, I don't think so. And it's like you work out then what your values are, and so that doesn't repeat for you. All right, so I'm just going to close your reading out with a message from Spirit for you. We've got cards going everywhere, Aquarius. So, the Magician. And the Magician, I feel, is in his positive energy, is about what do you want? What do you want to create for yourself here, Aquarius? Five of Swords and the Five of Wands, are talking about, that internal rumination that I feel sits up here with that too. It's like sometimes we can sabotage ourselves with our thinking, and there's an inner kind of conflict within us, which the Devil card very much talks about as part of the links in the chains that hold us in situations or beliefs that aren't for our highest good. And what comes out of that with the Moon card is a deep look at your own psyche, I feel, Aquarius. It's a bit of a deep dive, this one, but it's going to be a pattern shift and a game changer for you, I feel, because the Ten of Pentacles says you know your worth, you know your value, and you surround yourself with people who recognize your value and worth, and there's reciprocity and equity in that. Hope you have a fabulous week, and thanks for listening. Bye from me, and I'll see you next week.